gets in your eyes, smoke gets in your eyes. Smoke gets in your
Honored. We appreciate what you've done for us. We shall cherish this moment.
Hello out there in YouTube land. It's your man, not your boy. I'm a grown ass man. Ted E. Fame. You know I'm the former member of Tony Williams Platters from 1982 to 1992. Here in sunny Southern California, although it's been raining today and they're predicting more rains, but that's the view from my window of downtown LA. And I'm back with you again with another episode of my life as a member of Tony Williams Platters. And as you saw on the title for today's episode, I'm going to be talking mostly about that group that I was a part of for those 10 years. Tony's last, I would say, his last formation of the Platters that he fronted, that he was a part of. And you know what's funny? I never realized until YouTube how many tribute platters, fake platters are out there, and especially how many popped up after Tony died. I'm looking on YouTube for some platter stuff on some old stuff on Tony that I didn't know about, and I'm seeing all these platters. I'm like, how are you guys Platters and none of you guys were with Tony or any of the other members? And as for your information, all the original Platters are gone now. As a matter of fact, all the members of Tony's Platters are gone now. I'm the last surviving member of Tony's Platters. Okay, and we're not even talking about the original Platters. We're just talking about the Platters that Tony fronted his last 10 years. I'm the last one. Everybody else is gone. It's no longer with us. So while I'm watching these YouTube channels and I'm seeing, oh, there we go, hold on a second. I wanted to catch this. I like watching myself on YouTube. Oh, while I'm talking, let me turn it down. On YouTube while I film, if you guys don't mind. And also I can see the chats better and respond to them. Oh, that looks good, nice and clear. You can see me really good, I like that. So, as I was saying, seeing all these fake platters on YouTube, and the thing that I find the most interesting is the comments from the people watching the video saying, oh, these guys are great. This is wonderful. These are tribute groups, okay? There's a lot of talented singers in the world. I'm a talented singer. I could have put a group together and called them the Platters because I was in Tony's group, but I would have never do that. Because to you guys, if I was an original Platter, then I'm a phony, I'm a fake, just like all those other Platters out there. But you guys keep supporting them because you keep going to their shows, you keep spending money to see them. And it just reinforced to me how important the Platters were in their time and how long lasting the music are or was or is. I mean, it's 2023 and there's still groups out there today masquerading as the Platters. Blows my mind. Honestly blows my mind. But at the same time, I can feel appreciative because the music is still out there. And there's so many people all over the world that still enjoy that music. Oh, who we have here? I see somebody's comment. That looks like my buddy Matt. Yeah, it is. Hey, Matt, how you doing, buddy? I'm back. I missed you on the last podcast, but you're here today. That's cool. And as I was saying, I find it rewarding to be able to, although I don't hear their music on the radio unless it's an oldie station and I'm listening to that music, but I find it rewarding to go on YouTube and to see current, this year, 2023, a group out there called the Platters. Blows my mind. What you writing, my buddy? What you writing, Matt? Let me see if I can see what you're writing. At least the Temptations still have Otis. True. At least the Temptation. And, you know, you put a video out, Matt, and the one that you combine my group, my Platters with the Platters before me. Go back and read some of those comments. You'd be amazed. Some of the comments was like, "This is a fake group. This is not the Platters." And then somebody else wrote in there, "You do realize that's Tony Williams." And then somebody wrote, "That's not Tony Williams." I found that really funny. You can't expect, and that goes with anything in life, you can't expect something that was brand new when it came out to still be shiny, brand new 20, 30 years later. That's unrealistic to even think. So to expect the Platters to sound or to be the Platters that you saw that came out in the 50s, it's ridiculous. You know, like I said, in the 80s, when I was a part of the group, the only thing that made us stand out more special than all the other Platters is that we had Tony Williams. And you can't replace him. You can try to duplicate him, which is what all the original Platters members who were background singers did. They went out and found a singer who could try to imitate Tony's style, but it wasn't Tony. And even though Tony wasn't Tony in terms of his health and the deterioration of his voice, he was still Tony Williams. And people were just thankful that they could see him and look at him and say, "That's Tony Williams. I remember him," looking at him. And I can't tell you the numerous of times where after shows the fans would just want to come over and thank Tony for the music, shake his hand, get an autograph, ask to take a picture. I mean, the whole thing. And we're talking about a man in his 60s by this time, you know. But I appreciate that. So I don't begrudge these people. I look at it as flattering because I know the group that I spent 10 years of my life with is still flourishing. Well, the music is still flourishing, even though the people who created that music is no longer with us. And I think that's probably the highest compliment an artist can achieve. Because, you know, we all gonna leave this life eventually. But that music is gonna be here way after you're gone. Can you imagine if they had sound recordings back when Mozart was creating that music, or Beethoven? Can you imagine hearing Beethoven and Mozart hundreds of years later? Well, guess what? Hundreds of years from now, they're going to hear the Platters and Tony Williams, just like it sounded when he first made those records. So that's incredible and wonderful. And I'm thankful that I was able to, although I never recorded anything with Tony and the Platters themselves, eventually I did some solo music, and on my channel you'll see I have released 3 CDs. So I have some stuff that I wrote, that I recorded, that's going to be here long after I'm gone. What you wrote up here, Matt? I got to keep up with you, buddy. Have you ever considered making a group called Teddy Fame's Platters? Nope. Nope. I was just talking about that, Matt. Nope. Nope, nope, nope. Because 2 reasons. I would probably have some legal battles with the people who own the copyrights to the Platters. And most probably, anybody who remembers me as the Platters are probably not even around anymore. So the only thing that matters is who owns the rights to that name. And Buck Ram's estate owns the right to that name. And a lot of those guys, they're going under the radar out there performing as the Platters if they haven't got permission from the estate of Buck Rams. So no. And after I left the group, I vowed to not keep holding on to that name to promote my career. I vowed to use the Platters from those 10 years as a springboard for Teddy Fame. And it doesn't guarantee that it's gonna lead to something great. But I'll tell you, for the first 10 years after leaving the group, I capitalized off that, and I made a lot of money because I was able to go back to a lot of places that we worked at as the Platters and was remembered for my performance and got offered employment working in some of those establishments. And Singapore was one place where I ended up having a 1-year contract. And then Japan, where I ended up living for 10 years. And funny you asked me that question, Matt, because although I didn't intentionally myself, but a lot of the clubs that I went back to did exactly that. But I didn't do any Platter songs. They just said, Teddy Fame, former member of the Platters. And so the people who had saw me with the Platters when I played that club, when they would come to see me as Teddy Fame. Now, I wasn't doing any Platters music then. I was doing mostly my music and top 40 covers of the time. And I was making a good living. Give you an example, right? The club in Singapore called the Chameleon. When I went back there after Tony died, and I went back to Singapore and got booked in that same club that I went with the Platters and the the Coasters, I got paid $5,000 a week contract. So that was it. But mostly I wanted to make it on my own name, Matt. Yeah, there's hardly any fans of Frankie Lyman Teenagers out there too, even though there's 2 original members left, Herman San Diego and Jimmy Moore. And you know what's funny too about that? Funny you said that, because I had stumbled across some of the Frankie Lyman Teenager stuff. And I realized Herman, I was shocked when I said, Herman is still alive. And he looks pretty good. On that video I saw, I think it was something I saw him did last year or something, and he looks, for his age, I was shocked. And the other guy, Jimmy Merchant, I don't know about him. I don't think I've seen anything, but I definitely seen some on Herman. Herman's the most famous outside of Frankie. Herman is the most famous of the teenagers. So yeah, I definitely know that name and know that person. So yeah, so I want to tell you guys a little about the Platters, Tony Williams Platters that I was a part of. So that Platters consists of Tony Williams, leader and lead singer, Helen Williams, who was the female in the group, in the replacement of Zola, Teddy Fame, who legal name, check this out, okay? So here's a little bit of information you guys don't know. My legal birth name is Teddy Williams. That's right, my last name is Williams. That's a coincidence, Teddy Fame is my stage name. So I had that name, I got that name about 3 or 4 years before I joined the Platters. Had I joined the Platters before I got that name, I would probably still be Teddy Williams today because of the association with Tony. And I thought about it when I was in the group, because I knew, being the youngest person in the group, when they introduced everybody on stage, and they introduced, and Helen, because Helen, she does most of the talking on stage. So when she introduced the group, and she introduced herself as Tony's wife, and her son, who was the baritone singer, Ricky Shedd, she always called him Ricky Williams, Tony's son. Now imagine, had I kept my real name, and she said Tony Williams, Helen Williams, Teddy Williams, Ricky Williams. The only person whose name wouldn't have been Williams would have been a bass singer, whose name was Bob Rivers. We had 2 bass singers. It depends on who was available. Mostly it was Bob Rivers, but when Bob wasn't available, we had another bass singer who had a deeper bass voice. Bob was like a baritone bass, but this other guy, his name was George Reese. And what made George different from Bob, George was missing one of his front teeth, so he always stood out. And he used to sing Old Man River. And man, he could go way down. So, a lot of people have thought you were Tony's son too. Yeah, a lot of people that thought I was they thought I was Tony's son even then, because they knew I was too young. Like I said, I was 22 years old when I joined the group. So they would have already known. I looked like a baby up there with those people. But the fact that I was tall, and I was taller than I'm taller than Tony. So I was the tallest. Go look at the video. I'm the tallest one, and I'm in the middle, right? And then Tony is about so I'm 6'2", so I think Tony might have been 6 feet even. So me and him was probably the 6 feeters in the fruit. And then everybody was like 5'10" and shorter. Right. So like I said, then I was in the middle. I'm the second tenor. I'm Teddy Fame. And then the baritone singer, Nathaniel Ricky Williams Shedd. So it's Nathaniel Shedd, but they call him Ricky Williams. And then the bass singer, Bob Rivers, or George Reese. What you wrote there, Matt? Had you not been with the Platters, do you think you would have still raised the stone? To be honest with you, if I didn't get that break with the Platters, no, I don't even think I would have been in show business. Because it takes opportunity like that to expose you to all that stuff that you wouldn't have got exposed to had you not been in a situation like that. Because I never sung in big arenas before. And I wasn't in no position to get no record deal or record anything. So the Platters was my springboard to the entertainment world. Don't forget, when I joined the Platters is when I started rubbing shoulders with all these famous people that I only knew by records or on TV. In 1983, an album came out on Temperance record called Tony Williams, lead singer of the original Beach and Hell. Yeah, Helen put that out. Yeah, they had already recorded. Look, I'm gonna tell you, Helen, Helen is an opportunist. TRB I had assumed that. Helen is opportunist. Helen recorded the Platters back in the early 70s, in like 73, 74. Those were rehashed, re-released. Those weren't no new recordings. Actually, I just remembered, 1988, that same year that we did the Showtime, this rock group, now don't ask me the name of it, but they did a remake, I think, of Only You. And they brought us in the studio to do the background. So I did do a recording, but it wasn't for the Platters. We went in to record for some group, some rock group, and it was 88 is when we did the recording. So, Matt, get on your research, buddy. Look that up. I don't remember the name of the group. It was in New York City. We went to the studio and we recorded. It had to be Only You. If it wasn't Only You, it was Smoke Gets in Your Eye, but I think it was Only You. Or The Great Pretender. It was one of those songs. It was either Only You or The Great Pretender or Smoke Gets in Your Eye. One of those songs. It was so long ago, I can't remember. I do remember. You just jogged my memory, and I just remembered that. But as far as that release that came out in '83, I remember when we put that out because I was sitting in an apartment, and Helen pulled out all these acetapes, and they all had this song, and this is from the recordings that they did in the '70s. And she said, "I'm thinking about releasing this because if you notice, it says Tony and Helen Williams Platters." Okay? That's the catch. It was Tony's Platters featuring Helen Williams. That's the catch. Okay? That means that was Helen's project, and she was capitalizing off of Tony's name. I'm going to tell you, I can't begrudge the woman. She hired me. She saw the potential in having this young kid come into the group and bring some energy. Because if you notice the guy in the 70s, his name was Ricky Black, that was singing in my place on the video that you have, Matt, with that 70s group. Look at his energy and then look at my energy and tell me which one that looks better with Tony, his or mine. And that'll answer it right there. And so she saw that. And then I don't know, me and Tony kind of just hit it off automatically. He was almost like, I ain't gonna say like no father. No, he wasn't like no father. But I knew he liked me. And I know he cared about me. And maybe like a son, you know, because I'm only a kid, you know. He's old enough to be my dad. Damn near my grandfather, you know. Ringo started to come in 74 of Only You. You so did. Yeah. In 79, the pop group Shout. Yeah, and so did the group with Freddie Mercury. They did The Great Pretender. So there was a lot of groups really making our stuff back then and at that time. Like I said, that resurgence in the middle 80s, that doo-wop 50s music came on. That's when we really started working a lot. I was so lucky to join the group at the time because I was told they ain't never worked that much since Tony put that group together as much as we worked in the 80s. They wasn't working that much in the 70s, you know, like we was in the 80s. And then the early 90s. And then 1990 when we got inducted in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. That last 2 years from that Rock and Roll Hall of Fame induction, 91, we probably worked the 91, we probably worked the most that we ever worked since I was in the group. Matter of fact, we got a raise. We all got a little raise, you know, that Helen was willing to pay. Helen was tight with that money too. She didn't want to pay us, you know, because we could be replaced because they came to see Tony, you know, and that's why I took advantage of my situation while I had it. And I capitalized on my opportunity. And that's why I'm here today, the last one, and be able to talk to you guys right now because of that. I was smart. It was easy to get caught up in that lifestyle. Every night there's a party. And there's alcohol. There's this, there's that, there's other. You know, if you don't learn how to moderate that shit will destroy you. It will. I've seen a lot of good men go down. And I was always that way. I was always good to that. I could never overindulge in anything. I could never be addicted to anything because I'll get all the fun out of it, and then after that, man, I said, okay, that's it. I want to do something else. Probably the only thing, and I'm going to be totally honest with you guys. Probably the only little habit that I still continue to do, that I've been doing since then, was smoking a little bit of marijuana. Occasionally, I still smoke my marijuana, but guess what? Now it's legal, so it's not against the fucking law. What you wrote there? Doo-wop, TRB. How you doing, buddy? Welcome to my page. Back in the 1980s, Herb Reed's group was being paid $3,000, $33,000 per show. Each member got $300. The rest went to him. Shit, let me tell you something. Herb Reed was a lot nicer to his group than Helen was to us. And we were making $35,000, $40,000 a show. I saw the contracts. The most money I ever made singing in the Platters, if we were doing one-nighters, was $250 that night. Or we were doing weekly, monthly shows, $600 a week. Okay? When I started in the group in 1982, Helen was only paying me $100 a show. And I was happy to get that. You know, because I had a chance to be in a famous group traveling all over the world, playing for thousands of people, being treated like a star. So I got caught up in that. So I understood when Tony was telling me the story. I'll tell you a little story Tony was saying back then. And being black kids back then, black young men back then, they didn't focus on the politics or the business end. They focused on the entertainment and being stars. And none of them thought that they was gonna become famous and become the biggest freaking group in the world. And they wasn't ready, and nobody prepared them for that. So they still had the mentality of poor black kids. Don't forget, Tony was working at a freaking car wash in LA. And he's from Elizabeth, New Jersey. He was working as a car wash in LA when he joined the Platters. Okay? So the opportunity was the most important thing. Buck Graham had been the experienced, polished. Buck Graham was a songwriter, manager before he met the Platters. He was Linda Hayes' manager. That's how Tony Williams met Buck Graham, and Linda Hayes is Tony's sister. Okay? So he already knew all the politics of the music business. And he made sure to be the sole songwriter or to cover some classic songs like Smoke Gets in Your Eyes, Buck Rams wrote The Great Pretender. Buck Rams wrote Only You. The Platters didn't write that stuff. Buck Rams is a musician. He was also a piano player. The story goes, when Tony joined the group, and they were having rehearsals, and Buck had some music laying around, and he had a song he read called Only You. But he didn't like the song. But I think his secretary looked at the lyrics and liked the song and told Buck, this song could be a hit record. So he let Tony hear it, and Tony liked the song. He liked the lyrics. He said, yeah, let's cut it. So they cut the song, and the first one came out on Mercury, but it didn't do anything. It didn't do nothing until they got signed to the other label, and then they re-released the song, and that's when it went off to #1. But so Buck get all that money, okay? Tony Dunn was on salary. Now check this out. I don't know if you guys are familiar with what the economy was like in the 50s. So the average salary in the 50s was probably $50 a week, a 40-hour week job, 8 hours a day, about $50 a week with the average salary. Okay, so when they got hit records, Buck had them sign a contract as employees that was on salary. Now, Buck gave them a salary that they would never imagine a million years receiving. Tony said Buck was paying them $250 a week. They thought they was rich. If the average salary was $50 a week and they was making $250 a week. So, of course, you know, those royalty checks, Buck Rand was getting thousands, tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands, all right? So he was getting a good deal, paying them that money. And Tony them didn't really care, because they didn't know what was songwriters royalties, what was all these releases and all this stuff. And Buck had them sign over all their rights when he signed them to that contract. And because they didn't think they were ever going to be big, they signed over all the rights. They said, shit, this is the best break we ever got. What you wrote? I was very friendly with Linda Hayes. Her real name was Bertha Williams. That's right. She was living in Newark, New Jersey in the early 90s. She had a much deeper voice than her brother. Oh, man, you need to, I'm gonna go live. I'm gonna start bringing people on my page like you, so we can talk, because I would like to. I never met Tony's sister Linda, and that would be very interesting to hear some of those stories, or Bertha, whichever you want to call her. I don't know. What did you know her by? Did you know her by Bertha Williams or Linda Hayes? You know. I knew her real name was Bertha, but everybody knew her as Linda Hayes, so that's why I said Linda Hayes. You know, so yeah, that money. So when she offered me $100 to go on tour and fly in an airplane, don't forget, I ain't never been in an airplane. I never left the eastern coast. I never had a passport. And all that changed once I joined the Platters. She came to sing at UGG. She was Linda to all of us. Okay, so she was Linda to all of y'all. Cool. That's what I said. So she wanted to keep her stage name. So right? So like I said, my real name is Teddy Williams, but my stage name is Teddy Fame. You know, and I wanted to keep my stage name. So I even told Helen, she said, you should use your real name, because then you have the same name like us. And I said, I'm used to this name now. I like this name. I'm keeping this name. So she didn't give me no pushback, and I just kept going as Teddy Fame. So I'm Teddy Fame. You know, Although legally, I'm Teddy Williams. You know, it's funny, just to give you a quick synopsis or something. After Tony died, no, after Helen died, because Helen was the owner of Tony's estate. Helen died in 2004. 2007, BMI found me. I don't know how the hell they found me out here in California, because I had moved out to California then. I had just got out here. And they sent me this letter with all this information saying that being Tony's last in legal heir, that they want to send me his royalties, but I need to answer some questions and fill out these forms. And I was like, oh, hell no. That's a mistake. We just had the same name. I'm not his blood relative. And so I had to send them back a letter and let them know that I'm not his blood relative. We just share the same last name, because that's fraud. You know, and Tony does have a son and some grandchildren. He has a son in Japan, or I met one time when we was in Japan, and he has some grandchildren over there. I think one of his granddaughters found me on YouTube and told me I'm Tony Williams' granddaughter. So he has heirs, and hopefully they are receiving that money, because I remember after Tony died, I lived with Helen for like 4 years in that same penthouse apartment on Columbus Circle in Manhattan, across the street from Central Park. And I was helping her with her affairs. And she would get those royalty checks from ASCAP and BMI every 6 or 3 months. And I see checks for $10,000, for $15,000, for $20,000 for this song, for that song, for this. So that money was still coming in 10 years after Tony died. And that's money gonna be coming in forever. So hopefully his grandchildren are getting that money. After Tony passed, did you keep up contact with Helen? Yeah, like I just said, I lived with her. I took care. I was like, she loved me. Now, Helen loved me as a son. I was like the son she wanted her son to be. And I ended up being her caretaker, because she had a stroke and she had a brain hemorrhage. And she had a brain operation, I think, like in 1999, 2000. So when I came back from Japan, she wanted me to live with her. And during the course of those 4 or 5 years, her health started going down and down and down, and she became bedridden at some point. And I had to take care of her like a helpmate. I had to, like a little child, change her diaper and all that shit, man. Yeah, so I was there with her to the end, until her daughter came through, and me and her daughter never got along. And her daughter didn't want me there anymore, and she came over and took over, and they put Helen in like a nursing home or something, and she passed that year, 2005. Was it 2005 she passed? Yeah, 2005 or 2006. I can't remember now. One of those years. So what you wrote, it's interesting that Tony Gravestone has his real name, Samuel E. Williams. That's right, because that's his legal name, not Tony. And he was a sergeant in the Air Force, and as you saw, he got a military burial. Once you're in the military will bury you for free. Now check that out. So, and I was there. I was there at the funeral. I was there with the people at the press and all these people, these fake ass people who didn't give shit about Tony when he was alive. All they're talking, saying this and that to Helen, this and that to Helen. Helen knew, you know. I was with them for 10 years, and I was like living with them, so you know that how close I was to them. So yeah, I got stories that only I know and Helen. you know, that she took to the grave with her. But I lived with her, and I lived there. So she shared those stories with me. So these are stories that nobody knows, not even the relatives. You know, Tony's last years of his life, the closest people to Tony was Helen and Helen's grandchildren from her first marriage. See, Helen was married and she had 3 kids before she met Tony. And one of her kids died in the 60s. I think she fell out of a window or something. And so the whole time I was there, I did not see Tony have a relationship with his biological children. Now, I remember that when we went to Japan, his son came to visit us. But I don't remember them having conversation, corresponding over the phone and nothing like that. But Helen's grandchildren would definitely, Helen's daughter, June, and her children, which is Helen's grandchildren, and Helen's son, Ricky, Nathaniel Shed, lived with them. So Ricky lived with Helen and Tony, with the road manager. The road manager and Ricky shared a bedroom together. It was a 2-bedroom apartment in a penthouse apartment on the 18th floor, 18D. I forgot the address, on 58th and 8th Avenue. And no, 7th Avenue, 7th, 8th Avenue, between 7th and 8th Avenue. And Helen and Tony had the master bedroom. And June lived in where did June live? In the Bahamas, and she would come up to visit. And her children, Helen's grandchildren, lived in Brooklyn, and they would come out to visit a lot. So it was usually June's children and grandchildren that Tony would spend more time with. What's that, Mark? What happened to Ricky Wills and Bob Rivers? When did they pass? I'm not sure, because it was sometime in between 2010 and 2018, something like that, between that time. And I'm not sure how they passed or anything like that. I just got the news. I was secondhand news. It was relayed to me that they were gone. So yeah, that's how that was. So that's how I'm left. That's how I'm the only one left. And it was funny because I was close to all those people for those many years, right? So when we go on the road, it's just us. And most of the times, we had our own rooms. So the few times where I shared a room, I usually share the room with one of the musicians, because a lot of times a musician in the band would probably be around my age. And I'll probably have a relationship. I remember one guy named Zuzu, who was the guitar player, a white dude. And we were around the same age, and we were like, and this was in the 80s when, what's that show from Miami with the black guy, Crockett and Clutch? What was the name of that show? Anyway, Miami Vice. So we had like the matching summer jackets with the t-shirt that looked like Miami Vice, and he was the white guy and the black guy. So we was kind of playing off on that thing. So me and Zuzu was like the closest. So anytime we shared a room, had to share a room, me and him always shared a room. Mostly the older Platters members, they usually had their own room, or they would share a room with each other. What's that? Oh, we have another question. Who's it? Oh, I think I remember you, Mr. Bennett, L.J. Bennett. Hey, Ted, did Tony talk normal, or did he just sound like that when he just... Oh, you know, it's funny. Tony was a character. And Tony could talk all kind of ways, because let me tell you, most of the time, Tony was drunk. Let's just keep it 100. I'm just saying, right? I'm just keeping it real. Tony was an alcoholic. When Tony wasn't drinking, Tony was antisociable. Tony be stuck up in his room. He ain't want to socialize. When Tony drinking, he want to talk. He want to talk and he want to act up. He want to show off his little. Tony knew a little of every language, but he wasn't fluent in none of them. So he might start saying something in Japanese and then say something in French, but only somewhere, and none of it made any goddamn sense. And if you knew that, but to a person who didn't know none of those languages and hearing him do that, I was blown away. You know, it wasn't 2 years later I found out Tony, that shit wasn't making no sense what he was saying. It was like he was making up words, you know? So that was funny. So yeah, Tony was, and especially when we were on the road, and especially when we were on the road. So we were on the road and we hanging out at the hotel on our day off or something. I just like go by his room, you know, and hang out with him for a little while and just talk, you know. Especially when I know he's drinking, because then he want to talk, you know. And I'm a kid, you know. I'm in my 20s, so I'm not thinking about legacy or who he was in the 50s, because like I said, I wasn't a big Platter fan anyway, so it didn't matter. I just enjoyed the time I was with them. He was a man of many languages. Yeah, right. He was a man of many fake languages. So when we were together, you know, I just like being around him because he was like a granddad or uncle that was funny being around. So I was just sitting around and listening to talk. And he would like to talk about stuff. He talk about his past, but he don't be talking about groups or shows or artists and stuff like that. No, he just be talking about his regular life. You know, his regular life, not his entertainer life. So he ain't talk too much about his entertainer life. We just talking about his regular life, with normally everyday life. He had a routine. There was an imported cigarette stand on the corner of 8th and 57th Street. That he always get his little imported cigarettes. I think it was called Tipperos or whatever they was called. And sometimes if I'm there and he run out, he would send me to go get them for him. You know, so for a minute I was smoking those things. I smoked for a while, but I quit. Long time ago. Best thing I ever did. Quit. I should have never picked up that nasty ass habit. He was a great pretender. He was a great pretender. I like that. Man, hey, LJ, that was funny. You made me laugh, man. That was funny. He was a great, because I'm thinking about him now. He was the great pretender. He was the great. You would have loved him, man. You would have had fun talking to him. And I used to like just watching other people talk to him. And they would be serious. And he would be just acting a fool. And they'd be looking at him like all strange, like, why you acting? And I'm serious. And I'll be dying laughing because they don't know Tony. Tony don't take nobody serious, man. Well, he wasn't taking nobody serious at that time. Do I ask if you heard Tony talk about Rupert Barker, the pianist for the chords and platters, until he was murdered in a mugging? No, never talked about that guy. Never heard about him. Our pianist's name was Ray, what was Ray, God damn, what was Ray's last name? Robinson? I think Ray Robinson. I think his last name was Ray Robinson. Yeah, I think his last name. And he was a child prodigy piano player. And he was our musical director for the whole time. We had another guy named Bill. What's Bill's last name? I'm friends with him on Facebook. I'm sorry, Bill, I forgot your last name. It didn't come back to me. And Bill, so those two guys were our musical guys. So like I said, Tony never really talked about his relations with anybody from the past. You know, unless I asked him about somebody, and I would probably ask him about a star, not nobody like a musical director or somebody like that, or no. So I think I probably asked him a few questions about Buck Rams. Another thing, whether it was his way or intentional or not, Tony never, to me, he never said a bad thing about anybody. You would think he ain't had no enemies. And I know that's bullshit because I seen all the stories about the shit that Tony was going through in the 60s when his drinking problem caused a lot of problems. You know, I heard he was thrown out of clubs, was thrown off stage. So I know that man had enemies or people who didn't like him. But he never said anything bad about anybody. So I guess he was just, you know, like I said, that man never thought he was gonna be, he never thought he was gonna be a legend. And you guys will be all these years later praising this man for his singing ability. You know, he didn't think he was the greatest singer as you guys thought he thought. Or at least he didn't, I know he wasn't thinking that way when I was in the group. You know, because he knew he didn't sound like that no more. So I'm sure in the 50s when he was at the height of his singing, because, you know, we all got egos as a singer. Shit, if I had hit records at the height of my singing, I'd probably have a little ego too. But just like all those great singers that had a problem with their health and lost their voice or something, they become humble. Whitney Houston, a lot of people become humble, you know. And I've seen some of those same acts on stage. Benny King, man, Benny King didn't sound like the Benny King on those records when we do tours. You know, the only person that I can say, the Righteous Brothers, that guy with the high voice, his voice was damn near gone in the 80s by the time we start working with the Righteous Brothers. Now Ray Charles still sound like Ray Charles. And a lot of those groups, the Del Vikings, Fred Paris from the Five Satins, he still sounds somewhat like himself, but his voice wasn't pristine like it was. What's that? You guys are writing me some stuff now. Was there any singers that Tony was really different? Like I said, nobody that stood out to me. His wife had more relationships with those artists that Tony had. It could have been like, since Tony was like the most famous singer of that era, he probably had an edge to him that made him probably aloof to a lot of those guys, especially in the 50s at that time, because he was already crowned the greatest singer at that time. And not even Elvis was compared to him as a singer. So I don't think he built any relationships. Because I remember even Sonny Turner I met Sonny, he came over to the house when I was there. And he came, and so I got to meet him one time. I met Zola. I met Zola at the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. And you could see it was kind of cordial. It wasn't like long lost. They did hug and did a little thing like that, but you could tell if it was like a real bond or was just being nice and respectful and stuff. So that's how I saw it. I could be wrong, but that's the way I saw it. You know, Tony was one of the best singers in the 50s and in the world. Top 10. That's right. So he had that little. I'm sure. Look, man. If I was known as the greatest singer of my era, you couldn't tell me shit. Okay, let's keep it 100. I'm gonna keep it 100. All right. I'm just saying. If everybody thought I was the great, and that's all I see people saying to this day, Tony was the greatest singer of that era. Tony was this. Tony was that. So if you heard that shit all the time, it's got to go to your head. But like I said, by the time I joined the group, he know that shit wasn't real true no more. His voice is gone. Yep, Frank. What this? One of my favorite songs of that sing was "My Dream." Yeah, "My Dream." You know, it's funny you said that. "My Dream." We had certain songs that we would do when we doing a whole show and not just the hits. That there were certain songs that I knew Tony loved singing because you could tell he giving his best. And one of his songs that he loved singing the best was "Red Sails in the Sunset." For some reason, that man gave his all. There was a couple of them, but that song come to mind because I remember when that song came on, I knew Tony's gonna sing his best. When I go sailing along, alone, but there I am with you. Oh, Magic Touch. Magic Touch. I'm sorry. Magic Touch. Magic Touch was his jam. That song, Tony sung, he sung that better than the hits. Even though Magic Song, I don't know if Magic Touch wasn't the number one, but he sung that better than "My Prayer," "Smoke Is in Your Eyes," "Great." The Magic Touch, that was his song. Because when we went to that bridge, "Will I go daily?" Oh, he get into it, boy. He get that groove going and shit. I said, "Go ahead, man. Go ahead, Tony." It looks like he's reminiscing. Magic Touch. Magic Touch. What's this? One of my favorite songs. Yeah, so Magic Touch. Everybody go back and listen to Magic Touch. That was Tony's favorite song. That was his favorite song to sing on stage every night when we worked. I don't know if that was his favorite song, period. I know that was his favorite song to sing on stage when we do our shows. Yeah, man, I like that one too. Magic Touch. Where did that go? That got to number 4, huh? They got to number 4. On the R&B charts in 1956. Oh, really? I know, because it had a swing to it. They had the swing to it. I could see black people liking that song. I love that song. I love the way he sung it too. You know, I wasn't born then. I was born in 1959, so I was born the year Tony quit the Platters. So I didn't grow up on Tony's music. I grew up on Motown. So I loved that Motown singing style. So that was me. So I wasn't a really big fan of Tony Williams and the Platters. I'm just saying. I wasn't, but there were certain songs that I liked. My favorite Platter song that I knew that was a Platter song of all time was "The Great Pretender." It was just something about that song. When you heard the beginning, "Oh yes, I'm the great pretender." I don't know what about that song that I liked. Every time I heard that intro, I loved that song as a kid. So, but that probably was the only Platter song. I didn't know about the ballads and the "My Prayers" and probably "Only You." I think I probably remembered that song, but "The Great Pretender," I knew that was a Platter song. Matter of fact, when I was first met the manager and I saw the contract, I said, "The Platters, is this the Platters who made The Great Pretender?" I remember asking her that question. Yeah, so that was me. Huh? They say that the Platters was the first African. Platters was the first black group to have a #1 record, period, on the pop charts. Because we had two charts. It had race music for black people, and had the pop charts for the white people, right? So if you had a hit record as a black person, usually they didn't even have a category. I think they just call it race music. Rarely you would have a black act. A few black acts had top 40s on the pop charts, like the Del Vikings, the Drifters, the Coasters. Platters was the only one to have a #1, the best record in the country. And they had 4 of them consecutively from 1955 to 1959. 4 #1 records on the pop charts. And I didn't know none of that shit. This is all revisit history that I learned about after being a member of the group and everybody telling me. All the fans tell me, do you know the group that you in, young man? Do you know how big and famous this group was when I was growing up and I was in high school, and they had the best records, everybody loved them. So I've heard all the stories. What's this? I first heard the Great Pretender in the 1973. Yeah, American Graffiti. Yeah. So I you know what they had after joining the group, I started hearing the Platters music in a lot of movies. I remember when Superman came out, and you heard Smoke Gets in Your Eyes playing in the background, and Clark Kent was in his bedroom. And I remember getting on the phone, Helen, they playing the Platters song in the Superman. Speaking of Magic Touch, Buck Wham had it written as the Midas Touch when they rooming together. Oh, really? Tony suggested the word magic instead of Midas. He did not. Nope. Buck and Tony were rooming together. Wow. See? Doo-wop. I didn't know that. I never asked Tony. Tony and Buck Wham was rooming together? No, I never. See, you told me something I didn't know. Wow, that's some great information, man. I never knew that. You know, like I said, when I was in the group, none of that stuff really was important to me. So I wish it was then like it is now. 1955. Oh, wow. So that was around the time when Tony told me the story about Only You, and that he suggested that he told Buck he liked the song and suggested that they record it. They cut it. Okay, so that's where that was. Okay. Playing on the radio, and playing on the radio in Clark Kent's bedroom, right? It was Only You, right? You know, I said, oh, they playing a Platters song, you know. No, he never mentioned Zola Taylor or Frankie Lyman. I didn't know about that story until the movie came out. Yeah, I didn't know about that story till the movie came out. You know, and didn't that movie come out after Tony died? Am I right, Matt? Did that movie come out after Tony died? But no, I didn't even know that there was a relationship with Zola and Frankie, because it came out in '98, right? So it came out like 8 years after Tony died. So had it came out when Tony was alive, oh hell yeah, I would have asked him about it. Of course, I would have asked him about it if it had came out when he was alive. But that came out after he died. So no, it didn't dawn on me to ask him that question, that who Zola Taylor was in a relationship with. It wasn't important to me. A lot of things, in retrospect now, thinking about those intimate moments I had with Tony, I wish I had a tape recorder and could just sit there and turn the tape recorder on and just let Tony talk. Because just listening to, a lot of times I just would just sit there and he would just talk. And he would just talk about anything. And he would just go on and on and on and on and on and on and on. Man, if I had a tape recorder and could have, there's money I could have made off that stuff. I could have released that as an album or a CD. You know how many people would have brought that just listening to Tony talking? I wasn't smart enough for that, man. I wasn't smart enough for that. Oh, regret. But I don't have no regrets. I had a dream come true. Just being a member of that group. Just being, do you know how incredibly fortunate and lucky I was out of all the people in the world to be one of the last people to be a member of Tony Williams Platters? Not one of these fake ass platters, not one of those platters with the background singer, but with the man who you hear on those records. I'm so happy that every time I hear a Platter song, I can hear Tony's voice singing it on stage with me standing next to him. And I have that honor to say that I was in a group with Tony Williams and not one of those replacement groups where some imitating Tony singing, talking about they was in the Platters. I'd be like, because I've met some people who told me that they were in the Platters years later. I want to say, what Platters was you in? Because you wasn't in Tony's group. And that's the only group I consider the Platters if it wasn't an original group. Oh, I was in such and such a group with such and such and such. Oh man, that wasn't no Platter. You was in a tribute group. That's right, guys. All you freaking guys are lucky to be with the last surviving member of Tony Williams Platters, who's standing right next to that man every night. Well, no, I stand next to his wife and she stood next to him. So, but you know what I mean. Every night on stage. Roll with him in the tour bus. I sat next to him a lot on the tour bus. A few times on airplanes, but not much. His wife sat with him. But a lot of times when we was taking pictures, I was by his side. I got a picture of us somewhere. I gotta find it. I gotta look for it. I got a lot of pictures that I don't hang up of us in Tokyo International Airport. We had just got to the airport and the press came out and they wanted a group picture. And you'll see, and you could tell it was winter time and we just came from New York because I had this beaver hat on, like a real, like Daniel Boone beaver hat on with the little tail, because that was popular at the time. And I'm standing right next to Tony and his wife standing on the other side of him. I was always close by him. Not intentionally, I guess instinctively, if that's how you want to call it. But during those times, if you saw Tony on tour, I was somewhere close. I was somewhere close by. I was lucky, man. I was lucky. I would have never had a career in the entertainment business if it wasn't for the Platters. Because I don't think, after a while, I think I would have gave up. Because I would have never had the success, the notoriety. Did I say that right? The exposure or opportunities that I had with the Platters had I not ever been a member of the Platters. So yeah. LJ, what you say? I'm gonna need your autograph there. Hey man, guess what? You are now my friend, LJ. That's better than any autograph you can ever get from me. You're my buddy. You could tell everybody I said you are my friend. Okay? You are my buddy. Where's my other buddy, Matt? Tell him. That's my other buddy. Matt Attack. Tell him, Matt. That's my number one buddy. Hey, guys. Hey, Matt, tell everybody how old y'all. Hey guys, y'all ain't gonna believe how old this dude is. Matt, tell everybody how old you are. Y'all gonna be surprised. And he knows more about the Platters damn near than I do. That's right, LJ. Much love, baby. Much love. You know. And this kid know more about the Platters than I do. You won't believe that. Tell them how old you are. Gonna blow their mind. And he knows this dude, and he's a singer, and he does his research. Check him out. 16 freaking years old. And he know rock and roll history. He's a rock and roll history buff. That's right. He said it. A buff. He's like the professor of rock and roll. Hey, Matt, I gave you a new title, buddy. You the professor of rock and roll. He be fucking correcting me on dates. He said, no, Teddy, that's the wrong date. That was 19. I said, oh, Matt, god damn, Matt. I'm sorry, buddy. That's right, LJ. 16 freaking years old. Blew my mind. Blew my mind. And Matt is always, every time I go live, Matt is always there, Matt. This is probably my longest live so far. I'm having a good time with you guys tonight on this live stream. So we're going to go on for a while. I got time today. What's today? Thursday evening in Los Angeles. I don't know how much you can see out of my window. It's kind of dark out there. I'm an actor now. I do a lot of background work, some commercial. You know what? Fingers crossed. I just did an audition for a Burger King commercial, and I had to. Matter of fact, I'm not supposed to show y'all this because you're not supposed to see this script. But I'm gonna show you the script and the storyline. So the storyboard, this is the storyboard, and I auditioned for this guy right here. So there's a couple sitting on the bench, on the park bench, eating Burger King. And so the script, this is a script. And it's a little jingle in the script that I had to sing specifically for this commercial. Now, I can't do that for you because that's copyright infringement, but I can show it to you. All right, so that's the little jingle for the script, and that's the storyboard. That's for a Burger King commercial. I just did that audition today. So wish me luck, guys. Get that part. I did an Albertson commercial about a month ago. And that was like for LJ is 33. Hey, you young too, man. I could be your dad, LJ. I could be your dad, man. You only 33. So Matt, he's you're half his age. We got some young people in here. I like that, man. I like that. I really like that. That's really, 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 really nice. I still need to send my song stuff. Oh, you did some Platter song? Yeah, man. Why don't you upload it to YouTube and let us all see it, man? You can't put it on YouTube? I got my music on my channel on YouTube. You can put some on your channel on YouTube, man. And then, you know, we all can see it. You know, there's Platters fans out there. You on a Platters channel talking to Platters fans. You Platters fans, tell Matt that you would like to hear the song he did on the Platters. That's my buddy. 16-year-old kid. I could be his granddad, okay? I could be Matt's granddad. This is a fun day. I'm enjoying you guys. And let me tell you right now, this is just as much of a pleasure. Great idea. I've got enough subs. That's right. You sure do now, Matt. You got over 1,000 subs. That's right. You got more subs than me, actually. So you can definitely post stuff and go live yourself. You can actually, Matt, you can actually go live yourself, buddy. you know, because you got enough subs for that now. But that's a great idea to do something like that. Yeah, for all you guys, you know, we're a family here. It's a community. And I'm happy to be able to reach out. Oh, you got over 2,000 subs. Excuse me. Wow. You definitely got way more than me. I'm new to this game, man. You the man, Matt. You the man. You the man. I'm new to this joint. That's right. You Matt 2.035, something like that, right? Am I right, Matt? Or has it changed? Has the number changed? We definitely can go live together sometime. All you gotta do, go live and drop your link in the description, and I will definitely join you, Matt. That would be fun. Let's do that. We can start. You know what, Matt? Here's a good idea, and this is a work for your channel and mine. Let's start a Platters community, and we'll designate you as the ambassador, and we can have a channel. We can go live. You and I can go live, and you can like present me to the world as a member of the Platters and ask me questions and have people ask me questions. Yeah, that'll be fun, Matt. You know, and then we can have people like LJ and Doo-Wop and a lot of other people come in and join us. That'll be fun, Matt. Consider that. Think about that. That should be a good idea. You know, be something different. You know, yeah, because we want to have a community here now. You know, I'm thankful to be able to say that a platter was able to reach out years later to whatever remaining Platter fans out there in the world. And we talking about worldwide, Matt. We ain't just talking about here in the United States. You know what I'm saying? I got people all over the world, from Australia, from Brazil, from Asia, coming to this channel. So that's worldwide. You know what I'm saying? Because that's how big the Platters are worldwide. Right, LJ? That would be awesome. And you could be part of it too, L. You know, this is our community. We can establish a Platters. We can call it the Platters community. Well, somebody come up with a name, Matt. And invite Platters fans from all over the world to come and talk. And just talk about, give their Platters story if they have any, like that great story that Doo-Wop had. Or was that you, LJ? About Linda Hayes? That was a great story. I didn't know that. And you had a personal relationship with Tony's sister. I never even met her. So you could share some of those stories, you know. It would be wonderful. That would be wonderful. That would be absolutely wonderful to do. And, you know, just like I realized, you know, so actually somebody told me, they said, man, you know what? What's that? Call it the Platters. Yeah, call it the Platters Legacy. I like that, LJ. Call it the Platters Legacy. Right, Doo-Wop? And she was so sweet. Call it the Platters Legacy. Great name, LJ. Call it the Platters Legacy. And like I said, all Platters fans worldwide are welcome to join and chat amongst each other and with me, the last surviving member of Tony Williams Platters. And we can just talk about all things related to Platters. It don't really even have to be about the Platters. It could be about anything related to what's going on, what we like. We can talk about other stuff, you know. Like I said, my buddy Matt here is an artist, a young kid, but he's got recordings. He's got some experience doing singing, and we can be encouraging Matt. Who knows? We might be witnessing 10 years from now the next big thing in the music business, and all you guys can say, y'all met him here on this page, on this channel. Matt, you know, you never know. Hey, y'all know how I got my break with the Platters, and I told you how Tony got his break. Hey, you never know where breaks come from. You never know, you know. I tell you this, the guys in the group they were like 20, 25, 30 years older than me, so we weren't like, they all were set in their ways. You know, I was a young kid in my early 20s, so I wanted to get out. Every time we go on someplace, I want to go out and explore. These guys just want to stay in the hotel room. And especially if we go to a Caribbean island or something, they might bring their spouses with them or their girlfriends, you know, and stay with them. So they were much older, and I wanted to get out and meet all the young girls and get all their attention, you know, as a young kid would do at my time, in that time. And in the 80s, it was wide open for that, especially when we leave the country. So, and like I said, probably the only people that I probably did a lot of socializing with is probably the musicians, because they were closer to my age than the actual members of the Platters. Yeah, we still see, Matt, with time. Yeah, that's right, with time. Everything's possible. Everything is possible, my buddy. Everything is possible. Wow, mention the time. We've been on here for an hour and 21 minutes. Okay, guys, guess what? We're going to wrap up this session. This is our longest vlog so far. This is the longest I've been on since I've been going live. It's been, what, about 2 weeks now, Matt, that I've been going live? And this is probably the longest I've been on. But I got so much stories and so much stuff to talk about. And with my community out there, and this is wonderful. And what I did on this particular video at the beginning, on the thumbnail, that's the picture of our group with Tony. So those are the members that I was talking about today on that picture. Or that little clip at the beginning of this video, that's us. That's Tony's last group. So those are all the members that I was talking about today. So you can go back and see that, or go look at some of my other videos with that on there. So I got so many stories and so many stuff that just gonna come back to me when I'm talking to you guys. So don't worry, we're gonna have a lot to talk about, and I'm gonna come back and we'll strike up something. I'll usually go on like 2 to 3 times a week. So what's today? Today is Thursday. I'll probably go on, you know what? To all you guys are here, you're going to be the first to hear. I will be on Saturday evening. I'm going live Saturday evening at 6 p.m. because I got some stuff to do in early that day. But in Saturday evening, I'm free. So I'm going to go on Saturday evening, and we're just going to continue our conversation and talking to all you guys. LJ asked me, okay, I'm going to answer a couple more questions, and then I'm going to call it a night. LJ wanted to know, what was Tony's favorite food to eat on the road when he was traveling? Tony loved fish. Tony loved fish. He always loved fish. So that jumped in my mind right now. So I could say fish. I don't know if there was specific fish he liked the most, but I know he always loved fish. So yeah, fish. Doo-wop, thanks for an enjoyable chat from Todd in Massachusetts. All right, Todd in Massachusetts. I like doo-wop. I'm going to call you doo-wop, Todd, if you don't mind. I like doo-wop. There's something about that word, Sam. Yeah, okay. I will get cracking on my singing videos. That's right, Matt. You're going to have some, look, put them things up and let the Platters fans on this channel know about anytime you post some videos, and watch how many new fans you're going to get. that's going to support you, Matt. All right? My buddy. So to all you guys and everybody who joined me and that were here with me, I'll thank you for spending this last hour and a half with me talking about stuff. That's right, Matt. Tag me and the guys, okay? And I'll talk to you guys on Saturday at 6 p.m. I'll be there, and I expect to see every one of you guys there on Saturday. And let's keep this conversation going, okay? I love you. Good night.